brand new reviews. What? Why are you staring at me? If you saw the title of this, then you should know what I'm reviewing today. Seriously? Seriously? You expect me, the host of this video, to tell you, the audience, what I'm going to be reviewing for today? Seriously? Is that why you keep staring at my screen? Wait a minute. I know why you're staring at the screen. You're looking at my new posters that I've got here. Well, yeah, I've had those for a good while now. But yeah, I just figured it was time that they went up on the wall here. So I'm glad you took notice. That's not why you're staring at the screen right now? Whatever. That's beside the point, because we've got a new review to get to. And if this review is any indication of anything, you might have considered yourself lucky to have missed this 2019 show, or maybe not, I don't know. But anyways, let's get started with 2020's first video review on One Punch Man Season 2.
Season 1 left off, the Hero Association has rebuilt itself in what remains of City A and continues to be wary of the psychic Shibabawa's prediction of the Earth being in great danger. With an increase in monsters as of late, the association tries to assemble a force of heroes and villains to combat the monsters. It's here that we meet Garo, a man claiming to be a monster who kills heroes purely for sport, as he proceeds to massacre those in attendance at this meeting. Meanwhile, Saitama and Genos meet more heroes in the association, including King and Hellish Blizzard, and eventually get tangled in the growing threat of rampaging monsters. How will Saitama face off against the monsters? Will Earth truly be in grave danger? Will any of these questions be answered in a fantastic second season of one of the most popular shonen anime to date? Well, stick around and find out how that plays out. But if you saw the show already, I think you might know the answer to that.
So, like I said, this was okay. Yeah, this is not gonna be one of those positive reviews.
Overall, I give One Punch Man Season 2 a 67.
Now, to give Season 2 some due credit here, it's not entirely bad. It was just disappointing. With that being said, though, there were in fact some really good things about this season. One of those being the animation.
A big complaint that came from fans of the show was that the studio JC Staff was producing Season 2 instead of Madhouse Studio, who produced Season 1. A lot of that stemmed from a concern that the animation quality would take a dip because of this change of hands. I won't act like I didn't notice a difference in the quality of the animation, but I think for the most part, the animation was just fine. Granted, comparing the animation side by side with Season 1 and 2 is pretty pointless, as there is almost no real difference. But the fight scenes in Season 2 lack the Sakuga Season 1 had in most of its fight scenes. Still, the fight scenes themselves in Season 2 are not poorly animated. They're still cool to watch, and they keep your attention for the most part. It's just that they're not as zany as they were in Season 1. That's it. I'd like to think that this was a financial problem on JC Studios' end, as it probably takes more money to get good Sakuga. And Madhouse Studios more than likely had that. Regardless, if you were one of those people who refused to watch Season 2 because Madhouse's name was no longer attached to it, well, then you're being an idiot. Or you were being an idiot. The animation, the fight scenes especially, were just fine.
I'll even give Season 2 this. It did try to bring up some of the themes that Season 1 had brought up. Though note that I said try. But we'll get to that later.
One Punch Man is known for deconstructing the usual tropes found in shonen anime. Namely, the all-powerful main character is given immediate respect and prestige once he's discovered. However, the show also explored ideas like mob mentality and the true meaning of being a hero. These particular themes are continued in Season 2, namely with some of the other heroes Saitama encounters. Literally, in the first episode, we delve into this with the introduction of King, an S-class hero believed to be the strongest man alive when really he's a cowardly otaku who'd rather be playing video games. We watch King admit out in the open, or at least to Saitama, I guess, that he's a fraud and acknowledges that some of the things he's done were actually accomplished by Saitama himself. He doesn't do this because he's corrupt or anything like that. It just happened that way. He was simply at the wrong place at the wrong time. Or maybe it's the right place at the right time, and therefore had to keep up with appearances.
Hellish Blizzard was another hero who got some great character development, but she comes from a different side of the coin.
If King had all the power and prestige that a hero in One Punch Man could ever want, but didn't want it, then Hellish Blizzard is the opposite. Top-ranking hero in Class B, Blizzard creates a group of sidekicks for herself as a result of an inferiority complex with her sister, second-ranked Class S hero Terrible Tornado, fearing that she will never be able to move up in the ranks and tries to grasp whatever power she can have by being a superior to other Class B heroes. After confronting Saitama and finding out that King is now an ally of his, Saitama states that having subordinates is no way to gain power. And Blizzard ends up learning this the hard way when she has to defend her own sidekicks when she's fighting monsters. So, thanks to the introduction of these two characters, the spirit of the show is there, so I can't complain much there.
And trust me, there were some actual problems with this season that didn't even include JC Studios. Well, okay, it kind of does, but getting straight to the point here, this leads me to what was probably Season 2's biggest problem, its story. What the heck happened here?
If you want a good non-anime analogy to what One Punch Man Season 2 was like for me, I'd easily compare it to last year's remake of Hellboy. It's an adaptation that attempted to combine 3 different storylines but didn't know how to do it well, leaving an unfocused and disappointing mess. At first, the season starts out promising with character arcs from King and Blizzard, and of course, an introduction to Garo, as well as the continuing fear the Hero Association has in Earth's impending doom. But it's after episode 3, the focus starts to derail itself. Soon we get introduced to the Monster Association and the planned attacks they carry out on all the cities, which is fine, but it nonetheless interrupts the show's current flow, especially with Garo and his ongoing confrontations with other heroes. And then we get a tournament arc. Yes, after a disciple of Silverfang, aka Bang, is injured by Garo and lets it be known he was supposed to enter a martial arts tournament to increase his strength, Saitama, continuing to look for a challenge, enters the tournament as this guy without even telling him.
This was by far the worst part of the entire season.
Addressing and promptly shooting the elephant I've let into the room, I don't like tournament arcs. To me, they are unnecessary bits of filler shonen anime use as an excuse for character development when really it's a guise to throw in more action and fight scenes than is needed. Though to be fair, some tournament arcs are necessary or they serve the purpose of the plot. The sports festival in Season 2 of My Hero Academia, for example, has some great character arcs and leads very nicely into the next story arc, even though I've been open on my blog about how much I don't like it. And not to mention, we never would have gotten one of the best fight scenes in shonen anime without this arc. You know which one I'm talking about. And let's not forget the number of Pokemon regional leagues Ash had to enter over the show's 20-year run. Congrats on that Alola win, by the way. So in some regards, tournament arcs do in fact work, despite my dislike of them.
The martial arts tournament, on the other hand, does not.
To call this arc unnecessary is an understatement. I think waste of time is a more accurate description of what this is. Much of what this is Saitama one-upping martial arts experts until he gets caught in the final round. And to make this even more frustrating, while Saitama is preoccupied with this, everyone else, including Genos and King and Hellish Blizzard, are fighting monsters.
I don't want to see Saitama OP martial arts experts who were outmatched by him. I want to see Saitama OP monsters who are outmatched by him.
There are some tidbits of information that we do learn here, like that Garo himself entered the tournament the year prior, and we do get one decent character arc by its end. But it still doesn't excuse the fact that this arc was a complete waste of time and had no reason to be here. Heck, we don't even get to see Saitama fight any monsters till the very end of the season because of this. The closest we get is him hauling back the head of a disgruntled tournament champion turned monster and...
Wait a minute! That's it? That's it! Out of all of the Monster Association fights he has to get involved in, besides the end, that's it? That's all we see? You're kidding me. Really? Well, good gosh. Set him up with some cute little chibi anime girl to fight. It'd be more entertaining than watching the stupid martial arts tournament.
Yeah, I have nothing else to say about this except that it was a waste of time. Oh, and speaking of which, and going back to Genos for a minute, remember in the last episode of Season 1 where he's warned to be careful of Metal Knight and how he recognizes how much a My Mask used to be like him? Yeah, that's never explored here. Genos isn't even in Season 2 that much, and the closest we get to either of these is this really out-of-character moment with him and Dr. Kuseno, and Metal Knight and a My Mask have a few brief scenes, but nothing truly impactful to the season.
Anyways, moving right along here, the other problem that I had with Season 2 was the wasted opportunity in a villain, Garo.
Garo was probably the one thing that kept me hopeful and excited for Season 2 when I started watching it. In fact, he was literally the face of all the advertising for Season 2. There was a lot of hype surrounding this guy because of this, and frankly, I wanted to see that come to fruition. I wanted to see him become this great villain in this big matchup with Saitama. But sadly, Garo seemed to get the shaft despite all this hype he got. I seriously don't know what happened behind the scenes to make this happen, but all I can say is that this was a shame. Garo does in fact get a decent introduction in the second episode when he goes on a killing spree at the Hero Association's headquarters and has quite a few great fight scenes in the beginning and at the very end. But it's about the midway point that all of a sudden, this pretty intimidating looking threat gets treated like a side note. There are points, in fact, he gets treated like the comic relief. There's a scene in particular when he confronts Saitama on the streets, though not realizing he's going up against Saitama, and tries to attack him only for Saitama to mercilessly smack the tar out of him. This scene was funny, and it gives us the idea that Garo will have to work pretty hard for another grander confrontation, something that I thought the advertising pointed to. And then the exact same thing happens again towards the end of the season. And at that time, it was insulting. Yeah, let's do this to the literal face of Season 2's advertising, because why would you get excited over this guy? Because this season has monsters and a maniac.
Like I said, this was such a shame because not only was there a lot of excitement about Season 2 because of this guy, but because Garo actually had a really nice setup.
As mentioned earlier, Garo gets a great introduction in the second episode. And I'll even admit that I liked his backstory a little bit despite how preachy it gets. His whole motivation for killing heroes comes from a pretty rough childhood where he was bullied for rooting for the monsters and villains. Because of this childhood trauma, he had it set in his mind that heroes don't really care about the weak and will gladly beat them to submission for their pride and selfish reasons. Again, it's a backstory we've all heard at some point in some show or movie that probably isn't even an anime. But it gives a little insight into Garo and why he acts the way he does, and I liked that. But because Garo is pushed to the side midway through the season, it feels like it's just fluff. It almost makes you question why we should even care about Garo's backstory if the show doesn't even care about him in the first place. In fact, how ironic that the show gives us this traumatic backstory of him being bullied for laughs when the show itself pushes him aside for laughs.
This is kind of messed up here.
And it clearly shows, because when the show had some great elements to it, like a great villain, it instead decided to focus on As I said, I don't know what happened with JC Staff Productions, but it sadly treats Garo, a potentially great villain, like a waste of time. Much like the other thing I mentioned earlier.
So, yeah. This was okay. It was just okay. The animation, the fight scenes, and a few characters tried to bring some of the spirit left over from Season 1. But unfortunately, that couldn't save this season from an unfocused plot and a wasted opportunity in a villain. Though I am hoping his forceful participation with the Monster Association will fix Season 3 just a little bit. Just a tiny crumb of a bit. But regardless, if you like Season 2, more power to you. But for me, this season of One Punch Man was okay. But it could have been and should have been great. And so that wraps up today's review. As always, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to stick around in January for another video review on a 2019 show that I refuse to let die. My bias is clearly showing, isn't it? Well, and it's not that this was bad. It actually was pretty good, and I enjoyed it a lot. But good gosh, I so did not want to end 2019 without a review on it, but, well, that didn't happen, so we're doing it not now, but soon. Very, very, very soon. But, yeah. Till then, okay, I admit it, I dyed and cut my hair. I waited this long to say anything about it. Are you happy? Till next time, bye!